go back and not marry me?
Listen, see, you.
Is that what you're saying?
You weren't prepared for you. You have me on camera in front of the people now because Satan is actively warring against us. Like, he wants people to not see how beautiful marriage can be.
And that's what marriage does. It's like
Yeah.
it's a mirror that holds up to you who you really are. If you're thinking that being married will change something to make you happy, no. Happy people who get married are happy people married. Unhappy people who are not married and then get married are still unhappy people. They're just married now, person themselves. Because it's not that marriage won't change that person. It will. The issue is probably you're wanting them to change for you.
Right.
For your mold, whatever.
If you have that cross at the center, if you have that sacrificial love like Jesus, you're not going to be looking to change the person. You're just going to be looking to love that person like God has loved you.
Because you are the best thing that's ever happened to me.
People marry a person thinking, oh, well, that part of our relationship will change the moment we get married.
Yes.
And then they get married and they're stuck with it.
Or they exit, but because they don't want to be stuck with it anymore.
Either way, it's not marriage to change an aspect of your spouse is generally not a solution.
It's not.
Can you think of things that people, I can think of a couple of things that people usually think will change the moment they get married, but don't. One is like guys think, oh, I'll stop looking at porn the moment I get married.
Some guys, not
all.
Maybe not most.
I hear it more often than not, like as people thinking that that's going to change because then I'll be married and now I'll have that part of my life will shift. That like the sexual part of my life will shift because I have a wife and she'll take care of that. But there's a heart issue that ultimately needs to be cared for before marriage. That should be cared for before marriage because it's disconnected from marriage, right? And so they think that it'll shift.
I always tell young women whose husbands, there's a unhealthy percent of couples who support that whole porn. We watch it together, it's okay, or what my husband does in the bedroom, or behind closed doors or in the whatever, it's okay. I hear this in some of the Facebook groups I'm in all the time. Women trying to convince other women that they shouldn't feel disappointed or disgusted that their husband watches porn because it's so normal, or that their teen is starting to be curious about porn. And these moms, some of them, they're mortified what they found on their teen son's screen. And there's so many people being like, don't shame your kid, which you shouldn't. But also, this is normal and this is a rite of passage. And no, like, we don't have to normalize that in our teen men or our married men. We should not normalize that. We should not make, at any point in time, porn and looking at, these images and these videos seem like it's just normal. But what I do tell a lot of young women who feel like their confidence is gone, or they feel like they're not enough and not beautiful or thin or attractive enough, whatever, to meet these porn industry standards for their husband, I do tell them that this condition existed before you. He had this struggle before he probably even knew you were going to be in the picture someday. And as much as it feels like this is some statement about you, it precedes you. And therefore, how you're saying, to your point, this young man needed to get the help before that relationship.
Yeah. And just quickly talking to why you say we shouldn't normalize it. And that's because it's not normal. that's not how God intended for men and women to treat sex. It's using people for pleasure, and that's not why God made it. It's abnormal, and it does mess with kids and anybody's mind who consumes it, because it pushes them towards something that's not how God intended. It's immoral. And you're right, you're not shaming the person, but there is an aspect of looking at the industry as shameful. And because it's a shameful way to treat a good gift that God gave humans.
Let me tell you what my mom told me.
Yeah.
Because Eric is carefree and he's so easygoing and he loves to have a good time and laughs about everything.
If you want to know what Erica and I are like, if anybody's seen Trolls, if you've seen Trolls, I would be Princess Poppy and Erica's Branch.
It's not wrong,
Erica thinks that there's dangers lurking around every corner, and that she needs to put up all these guards and protection and things like that. And I'm like, everything will work out. It's gonna be awesome. Let's write a scrapbook about how awesome this story is gonna be. But the cool thing is, and what I think is cool about that movie too, is that neither one of them are all the way wrong, and yet they both need each other to actually see a true perspective on the world. Because I could use a little bit more sober-mindedness about what the reality.
Bergens trying to eat you.
Bergens trying to eat me, and you could use a little bit less loneliness and guardrails and optimism.
I'm not lonely though.
You're not lonely because you got Princess Poppy
and like 70 kids, but yes, but that's also, I think, to that point, right? If you actually know the story of Trolls, Branch watches his grandma be horrifically eaten, right? There's tragically eaten,
there's tragedies that happen at
Princess Poppy. She's in the middle of a tragedy, but she has no idea because she's literally in her dad's hair, being protected from all the dangers of the world, and then they build this fake utopia. And doesn't realize that there are really harmful things that can, and I would say that's how we were raised.
Yeah.
So to that point, I do think that sometimes these two individuals, you're bringing that childhood version of you, that you're still looking the lens, right? You're still looking at the world through this lens of that childhood upbringing or trauma or, whatever. And I think that plays into then when you come into the marriage, if you haven't healed some of that trauma as that child or shifted that lens, you're then going to be looking at that person you married and be like, what the heck? What kind of upbringing did you have that you're not getting on board with, like, what we need to happen here in order for this ship to sail more smoothly how I want it to, right? And so I think when we got married, my mom's pointing out, like how marriage is a lot of work and it's worth the work, but I need to make sure I have a whole picture of who, you are. And I'm like, I know Eric. We've been friends since we met in 3rd grade and we've been best friends since high school, and, he's just fun and da-da-da. And I remember my mom being like, oh, the things that you love now are going to annoy the snot out of you one day. My mama was right. Because let me tell you, the number of times Eric's on, like, the rainbow cloud with his unicorns and lollipops and gumdrops, I just want to shoot him down. I want to shoot him out the air. I'm not going to lie. And have him be in my river of sadness, because I want him to know that sometimes you just live in a river of sadness. But like Eric said, we are a good team, because if I just stayed as that person who lived in a river of sadness, I would just be depressed for my whole life. And that's also not how God wants me or has called me to live. But I think I didn't try to change that part of who you are. But I did want you to see the fullness of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because I did feel like that was getting in the way of some of how we saw situations, how we planned our future. Eric would be like, it's all going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would be like,
let's make a plan.
Let's make a plan, because what happens if the worst case scenario, happens, right? And so I think there is a part of like, sometimes it's not always you're trying to change someone as much as you're trying to say, hey, this is the lens in which I see the world. I need you to come over here and take a look, right?
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, I also want to acknowledge there were times that I wanted to change Eric.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times. And honestly, I still do. If I'm being so honest, you
Erica
guys.
has the perfect plan for everybody's life.
Except for my own.
That's
why cancer was so maddening, because they tell you all these things not to do to get cancer, right? Don't drink, don't smoke, don't eat lunch meat, whatever. I don't do any of those things, okay? And I still got caught with cancer. And I felt like something so big happened to me that it was so out of my control. And that was maddening to me. It was absolutely maddening to me. But for Eric, it's like I think this is why couples, why they want to change the other person. It's because you can like see the potential, right? You can see like if Eric could just, fill in the blank, if your spouse could just fill in the blanks, he or she would be so much more, more fit, stronger, more financially savvy, a better protector, a better leader, a better father, a better mother, a better whatever it is. I'm sure we can all go for days with our spouses and the what ifs. And so I think it's the change is not just to make their lives easier, but it's like I can see the potential of who I feel like God made you to be in who I want you to be. And if we could just get you on board with this, like you could be a really.
And what have you learned?
Yeah, we see what my therapist told me. I need to stop it. I remember we were in therapy, and therapy was for me, but Eric would just come with, and then somehow that turned into couples therapy.
Oh, that's great.
Which was great. And she was so great because Eric respected her and listened to her, and she would get through to Eric in a way that only she or his mother could, I guess. And so
there you go.
Shout out to my mother-in-law. But she just said to me, I'm going over something, and she's like, Erica, I feel like you keep saying the same thing. But look at Eric. And Eric's in the chair like this with his smile on his face that I want to smirk, slap right off. And she's like, Eric's only ever been Eric. Like, Eric's only ever shown you who he is. Like, it's not shocking to you that this is who he is. But every time you sit here and you tell me this as though you're surprised that this is who Eric is.
Yeah.
He's only ever shown you one person. And, for a while that made me mad because I'm like, well, how dare you, Eric? I'm over here always trying to evolve and grow. See, that's the problem, right? Like, let me interrupt my thought here. The problem is that we learn and we are getting all these new concepts and all this new research is coming out, or as we're trying to heal and we're like, oh, if I'm this broken, the person that I'm married to must be just as broken because I see it. Like, I'm impacted by their brokenness. And if I'm healing, like, I want to enlighten my husband that this form of healing is out there, that he could just do X, Y, and Z, and then he could fix his broken pieces too, and then that would make my life better because he's getting better, right? Some of it's really well intended. But my cousin Jeremy just recently taught me that.
We're learning a lot right there.
That was an epiphany I was having. But my cousin Jeremy just taught me this. He said to me, Erica, you can't deliver somebody who doesn't want to be delivered. Eric doesn't even know Eric's broken sometimes.
Okay, well,
right? At least to my level of brokenness, which I realize.
Here's something that's true. Yeah, people won't move unless they feel like they need to move.
Right.
And no matter how much you want them to, you cannot make them move.
No, can't deliver somebody who doesn't want to be delivered.
They're going to stay right where they are. And that includes a spouse. And marriage can create positive momentum for people to grow and shift and change. We've seen it. We've seen it in our own lives. We've seen it in other people's lives. But it only works if the person's willing to say, oh, like I remember moments of not only with you and after we got married and seeing the level of my selfishness, but then with our kids and seeing the level of selfishness. And it's in those moments that I say, oh, Lord, I need help. I need to change. I can't keep treating my wife this way. I've got to lay aside the things that I want for the sake of her, for my kids. And there's things that will just come up that will produce a heart change. And that's probably the best way to move forward with your spouse.
Well, it's God's way.
Is to pray.
God didn't anoint Erica to be someone's Holy Spirit as much as she wants to be sometimes. I am not the Holy Spirit. I am not the voice of conviction. It doesn't mean that we can't go to our spouse and say, hey, this is upsetting to me, but I can't change you.
You can't make me feel the level of conviction that you feel.
Like even just with drinking, like I don't like alcohol. It's really something that it was something that carried a lot of consequences in my upbringing before I was adopted, and it caused people to do horrible things, and children suffered because of it. And so for the longest time, it would just really anger me when people would drink.
And I love beer.
Yes.
You point that out there. If that's what you're getting after.
Well, because that was such a source of tension for us for a very long time. And I really just had to get to the point to where it was God's just like, Erica, your convictions, you can't force your convictions upon other people. And I think sometimes that's how we're entering a marriage, right? And that's why it's so important to make sure you have the same values as someone, because if you're marrying someone thinking, oh, when I get married, I'll just bring this person to my side. Yeah. Or they'll come on my faith journey, or they'll see that this is the way that we should do X, Y, and Z. It's not going to happen that way. If you don't have those values like locked and sealed before you get into a very serious commitment, it's going to make for a way bumpier ride, especially because as we get older, I think our convictions deepen. And doesn't mean that we can't
generally
shift.
change.
They don't generally change, but
well, it's because it's the framework that you've trusted your whole life.
Right.
So it'd be harder to abandon that framework and develop a new one, because you're basically saying everything that I believed in until this point is not true.
Absolutely.
And now you got to create a whole new one in your 40s. Now, what's the coolest thing ever is when a person comes to Jesus in their 40s and they actually do that. And they're like, I've seen the other way to live.
Yes.
And I need Jesus. And they tear down their old way and take on a new way. But again, that's an act of God, right? That is only by the power of God.
Absolutely. But I think
but you're right, values deepen.
Right, as you get older. And so I think when you're looking at who you want to spend your life with, you got to look at yourself before there's a ring or a house together, puppy together even, and you have to really say, like, the things that bother me about this person, am I going to still love those things in a year? 15 years? The things that I can't stand right now, am I going to be able to sit with them in a quiet Saturday, when maybe I'm overwhelmed and I need a lot of help, and, that thing that person's doing is like just drives me crazy. Like, are you going to be okay 10 years in on that Saturday being overwhelmed and being driven crazy by that same thing?
Okay. I would say.
See, I'm being a realist here. But here comes a sprinkle of fairy dust.
What I'm going to say is, sure, you're going to get annoyed with your spouse.
Really annoyed.
Like, that's going to happen. But, would you go back and not marry me?
Listen, see, you...
Is that what you're saying?
You weren't prepared for you. You have me on camera in front of the people now because I told you before if I had to go back and do it again. I told you before.
So you're saying you'd pull the...
Well,
you say red
hold
pill,
on.
blue pill. I can't remember which one's which. But like the Matrix, you could take the pill.
Wait, there were times where I have said to you, I would not go back and I would not remarry.
Okay,
right?
But I'm asking you right now, would you go back and marry me again, is what I'm asking you.
Okay, Eric. Yes, I would marry you again.
And that's the point. Because no, you hold on.
But you are a rare person, though.
No, you just went through and said you need to go and think about whether or not this thing's going to annoy you in 10 years and this and that. Like, there's just always going to be something that's going to annoy you in 10 years. Can I finish this? I get it. You're going to have the floor. Just give it a second. Okay? You said there's, think about the thing that's going to annoy you in 10 years. But I think if I heard everything that just happened in this conversation, that annoying you in 10 years has just as much to do with that person as it does with you. You don't have to let things annoy you. The Lord can bring about hey, just like you did. Eric's Eric. And that can just be what it is. And I don't have to fight against it.
I fight against it.
Not like you did before.
Not as much, right.
And you got a lot happier.
Because, you got a lot happier. One of us did get happier.
You're not happy? You're not happy through it?
No, I tell people that marriage and children sanctified me in ways that nothing else could. And it's not in a bad way. It's in a way of I had a lot of sin and selfishness, and I do believe that God used these beautiful moments in my life to make me a wife, to make me a mom, that ultimately made me a better person. I wouldn't know an ounce of the joy that I do outside of you and outside of the children and obviously Jesus. But what I mean by that is sometimes when we're counseling couples, it's not the annoyance, right? It's not like Eric's super fun and outgoing, but that might be not attractive in 15 years. That's not what I'm talking about.
Okay, what do you...
There are blatant things we've had a couple say when I talk to him about my feelings, he just, shrugs and doesn't acknowledge and walks away, right? Could that change in 15 years? Sure. But that's a foundational crack, I think, that we think we'll put some sealant over
and once we get
married, that'll shift. We'll do therapy. And those, I'm talking about the weighty things, right? I know we're laughing a lot in this video, but I want to be serious about what I mean. Because I do think that there's a lot of young couples especially who get married and then they become couples.
Can I, and I'm not going to interrupt to make a point. I want to interrupt with a question. Could you distinguish between what's I need to pause getting married to this person because it's that level versus that's just something that is going to be fine?
If you are a spouse who likes to be clean, you're super organized, you're super type A, and your significant other is type B, and maybe they're a little disorganized.
They're creative.
They're the creative kind and free spirit, always late. Sure, I'm not. If you
You're talking about them so negatively.
no, I'm not.
They're always like.
Well, I'm just saying they're always late. I'm not saying that that's a deal breaker.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. You could be the spouse who likes a clean sink and your other person just always wants to leave dishes in the sink for a day or two. Those aren't deal breakers, right? It could even go as far as like you're the spender and your spouse is the saver, or like reverse it. Those aren't necessarily deal breakers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the stuff that will like actually cut you to the core, right?
Like not
the
paying attention.
neglect or the abuse, or if you have someone who I had a friend make this distinction when I had asked a question, and she talked about like we have to be careful too when we enter in relationships of thinking oh, like how this person talks to me will get better when we're married. How this person treats me will get better when we're married. They're just stressed out about work or, finances or the wedding, but they'll be nicer, or they won't try to isolate me from my family or my friends, or, it's those kinds of things that I'm saying, hey,
Those are flags.
those are flags.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, this person cheats on me a lot, but when we get married, those aren't things that are going to get
No.
better. And I know
Yeah.
those examples sound extreme, but we see it a lot. In people we know, or just even on the internet, people will look at marriage as this blanket that's going to cover a multitude of sins. And really, for me, marriage is just expose the levels of sin or the depth of my depravity, right? And need for Jesus. And I want people to be guarded and to be careful not to look at marriage as a savior, as a, Band-Aid that's going to cover it all so that you can't see the yuck bleeding out underneath, because that's a dangerous mentality. I want people to be careful to not look even at their spouse like Eric is not Jesus. He is not God. He is not my savior. Sometimes you can even enter marriage being like, this person is going to fix me, and this person is going to save me, and this person is going to make everything better for me. That person can't do that. That's a lot of pressure to put on that person. Or this person's going to take me away from my family, or that I have no good financial standing, and so this person does, and they're going to fix it all for me. We can't come into a marriage trying to fix the person, or
It's like and if you're asking that question, what I heard is all the things that are being revealed that you need to give to God
yeah,
and ask for his forgiveness in pursuing that idol, right? If you think your spouse is going to be here and do this for you, turn to God and get it from him, right? If you think your spouse is going to be the person who gives you the standing that you want, the stability that you want, fill in the blank. Those are just revelations that you need to go to Jesus and place your trust in him to receive those things.
yeah. Or marriage is gonna make me happier. Once I'm married, I'll be happier. No, you won't. No,
Yeah.
you won't.
Well, you
'Cause
might.
I'm telling you, I got.
Yeah. No, you do. Man.
I don't think that's. I
You're-
know. I'm kind of being hard today.
You're over there.
Good
I don't
cop,
even
bad
know.
cop. Good cop, bad
I
cop.
don't even know.
Well, but at least I think that's what I hear a lot, that you'll be happier once you're married. I just
Right.
don't
Okay. I
think
get.
that's-
I get what you're saying. Like if you're thinking that being married will change something to make you happy. No. Happy people who get married are happy people married. Unhappy people who are not married and then get married are still unhappy people. They're just married now. Is that what that's a clarification, right?
They're
Who
just,
you are before is what will translate to after, because the foundation doesn't really shift with the marriage itself. If you're pursuing and have a person that you love and you're compatible and you're happy with that person, and they're that's going to be able to stay after you get married. That happiness, that love.
And I leave room for, obviously,
I
I am a
remember the
better person because I married Eric.
I
Like,
remember the best part about being married was like we never had to say goodbye. It was awesome. Don't you remember that?
yeah.
It was a beautiful thing. It was like, wow, I never have to say goodbye to her. We go to sleep there, and then we wake up and we're there again. And it was awesome.
Yeah.
There were hard parts. I'm just saying, like a rosier view of, but that was because we were happy together beforehand. Even knowing some issues that we were going to have to tackle, we were still happy beforehand, and we knew what we wanted when we got married, and there was no misconception about who we were. I wasn't trying to fix anything about you by getting married. I didn't enter in thinking, "Oh my goodness, once I get married to Erica, she'll be a different person." I was just like, "Man, I can't wait to get married to her because then we'll never have to say goodbye."
Yeah, that's sweet. And I don't think
You didn't have that view
I don't
either.
think I did either. Do I do know that I am a better person because of you. Like, that's a
And and that's what
well,
marriage
yes, of course.
does. Sure. And that's what marriage does. It's like
Yeah.
it's a mirror that holds up to you who you really are. You can't there's things about you that you can't see until you get married and have to look at you through the eyes of somebody else. Because that's what marriage, in my view, does. Like, you step in and now you have a person that your actions directly impact. Prior, my actions only impacted me, generally, right? I mean, if it was really big, it could impact somebody else, but mostly it was just like, if I wanted to go out, I would go out. If I wanted to stay in, I'd stay in. If I wanted to do this, I'd do this. And there was no person that when I did those things was impacted by it.
Yeah.
And then you see how your actions directly impact a person's feelings.
Right.
And you have to say no to things that you want to say yes to. Because
and sometimes you have to say yes to
and
things you
sometimes
want to
have
say
yes, things you want to say no to for the sake of another person. And it's a beautiful thing.
But isn't that like what Jesus did? Right? Like,
Yeah.
isn't that the whole moment where he's asking the Father to take this cup from him?
Mm-hmm.
And he still drinks from it. He still goes and he lays down his life on the cross.
Mm-hmm.
And he endures all that he did for you and for me, even though he would have much rather God had taken that cup from him. And I think that's the heart of marriage, right? Like, that's why it is so important for God to be at the foundation of a marriage. And when there are two broken people who come together with all their sins and flaws and the miscommunications and the different lenses in which they're seeing the world, if you have that cross at the center, if you have that sacrificial love like Jesus, you're not going to be looking to change the person. You're just going to be looking to love that person like God has loved you and sacrifice like Jesus has sacrificed for you. And that's where their ultimate transformation is going to come from. It's going to come from seeing, like, that's for me at least, how much God has loved me, how much Jesus has sacrificed for me makes me want to be a better person, makes me want to be like Jesus. I don't need you to convict me, right? I got the Holy Spirit, but I have the love of God that I look at in my life and I'm like, man, so much was given for me to be here that I want to be the best version of myself that I can be. And hopefully that in turn overflows to you and
Yeah.
our marriage, but also to our children as their mother, right?
Right. And that's what the beautiful picture of marriage is in the Bible. The reason why Jesus did that was for his church and for his people. He's the groom and his church is the bride. And I think what you're saying is if you have the pieces right, if you both love the Lord and have that as a foundation,
Right.
you can trust marriage to do what marriage will do. You
Yes,
can
well said.
trust the process of marriage to change and transform your spouse because God created that covenant to do that, right? And it will do it. But you can't, if you're actually hoping marriage to do something to your spouse, it's probably something you need to check in your heart to say, what am I hoping that they'll give to me that I need to go to God
Yeah.
and entrust to him, entrust that part of your heart to him.
And I think that's a beautiful point because so much of the hurt, I think, in marriage comes from wanting something from you that you can't give me. Like you can't satisfy some things inside of me because that is truly only something God can give to me. You can't if you perhaps you have a parent relationship and you feel constantly like you're not worthy of that parent's love, or that's how that parent makes you feel, or you just want to be seen by that parent and appreciated or whatever it is, right? Like you can't keep looking to that parent to fulfill that. Like this is something that your heart is thirsting for because God's trying to tell you, like, I'm your parent, right? Like I'm the one who can give you this love that you're seeking. Like because of what my son did for you on the cross, like you are worthy of my love, right? Like there are some things that we just unfairly hold our spouse to this high standard because it's missing and lacking in us because God's trying to say, come here. I have this for you. I will freely give it to you. You just have to ask. We can't look to another man or a woman to fulfill this part of us. And I think if we could look at marriage that way, it takes pressure off the spouse to perform or to be at this like high, level all the time or constantly checking. Like I think sometimes couples get themselves in pickles because it's like, well, you didn't make sure I felt this way about the situation. You didn't check in. You didn't ask me. You didn't care. You didn't stop to. That's a never ending pattern of defeat that a spouse is going to walk into when we have our expectations up here of what they need to fulfill to make us feel wanted or worthy or enough. It's not your job, ever.
Yeah. And the devil doesn't like your covenant anyway. And that's why there's reasons why marriage is hard. Sometimes it's hard because we're not doing it according to how God planned it out, right? He said, here, if you follow this pattern and how you love one another, and we fight against it. But it's also hard because the last thing Satan wants is people to live in a covenant of marriage with one another.
Yes.
He hates it.
Like thinking that the fight is just a fight, but it's so Ephesians 6 says, starting in verse 12, for we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. And then it talks about take up the whole armor of God, right? And so many things can just look like of this world or just physical, right? But there's this whole other spiritual realm, and Satan is actively warring against us. Like he wants people to not see how beautiful marriage can be and how beautifully God designed this unity, and he wants couples to fight and divorce and the
Yeah.
kids to grow up in, broken homes, because then that destroys the very
hmm
heart of this not entity, what am I trying to say? The very
The
heart of
covenant.
the covenant that
Yeah.
God has, designed. And so I think, to your point, it's so important to even just stop in when you're maybe trying to correct and keep correcting and
Well,
fixing and
yeah. I think tying it together, a lot of if you're thinking that the marriage will change the spouse, what we're saying is there's a spiritual component here,
yes.
a spiritual component within you of you need to check why do you need your spouse to shift that in their life in order for you to be happy.
Mm.
What are you looking for them to what are you looking to them to do for you to make you happy in that way, and that you think that the actual marriage will make you happy? You got to go to God, but also recognize that once you step in there, there's also a spiritual dynamic that those little seeds of anger toward your spouse are the things that the devil loves, because he wants nothing more than for that covenant to get broken, to get split, because the covenant in God's word of the husband and the wife is a representative of Jesus and the church. And the more he can defame it or mar its image, the happier he is, because it takes people further away from God's heart for their life. And that's the check. Do a spiritual check of where you are and where you're leaving a foothold for the devil to actually create hardship in your marriage, because you're looking for the actual marriage to do something that it was never intended to do.
Mm.
It's something that you have to work out with the Lord.
And that's probably why forgiveness is so crucial, when all these couples who've been married for like 50, 60 years, and we will ask them, what's the key? Like, how did you make it?
Yeah.
They all forgiveness.
Forgiveness
Because
and grace.
and grace, forgiveness and grace.
Yeah.
And Eric is very good at those two things. I
thank you.
am not.
You are good.
Well, okay.
You sell yourself short.
Well, thank you.
Because the ways that you forgive and extend kindness, because you, as much as we joke about you always remembering the wrongs that people do, you actually keep a short account. And it's easy to get back to your heart, because you say, hey, I did this, I offended you in this way, and you say, forgiven, and we move forward.
That's true. I just want to acknowledge the pain. The pain demands to be thought. It wants to be acknowledged. But you are good at that, and I think that's. I think that when you're talking about not giving the devil a foothold, I think whatever direction people go, you are in a committed relationship, and you made the choice to partner together.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, till death do you part, right?
Mm-hmm.
And where you can start to just say, where can I show grace?
Mm-hmm.
Where can I forgive? Where can I recognize that this is who my spouse has always been? And where can I trust that God will work it through,
Mm-hmm.
right, for me, and I don't need to try to work it out of my significant other. I think that might begin to help individuals not feel like they're just suffering,
Mm-hmm.
or they got to keep fixing, or even like therapy is not enough, right?
Mm-hmm.
Eric,
Mm-hmm.
is there something about me or something I'm doing that you would like me to change?
And I'm going to answer like I always do. No. You keep on pursuing the Lord, and the Lord will transform you in the ways that you need to be transformed. And if I think if there were something that were so blatantly obvious, like that you were doing that wasn't in line with God's word or with God's heart, then I could be like, yes. But so much of it is just like preference. It's like, and just because I have a preference towards something doesn't mean I have to enforce that on you and make it yours.
Learning that the hard way.
You
My
are,
preferences
because you always want
don't have to
you
be
equate preferences with the Holy Scriptures. You're like,
Erica.
you're
one.
like, this is how the dishwasher needs to be loaded, and it's not.
And it's not. And if I could just go back here, young married women, if I could just go back and tell young Erica something, it's chill out. You know, what are you yelling for? Like, lay back.
Avril? I did. I
I
did. I got it. I got it. I think I got it like on the third line. You said, "Chill out." What are you yelling for?
Because it's all been done before. Like,
what are you doing over there? Okay. Have you been listening to some like early 2000s
I think
pop,
this
babe?
is a divine moment I'm having. My point.
It's a Levine moment. Avril Lavigne. It's a Levine moment.
Okay,
you're having.
but my point being is I got so caught up on feeling like I was being unloved or wronged because you weren't yielding to my preferences, and maybe we didn't. At the heart of it, it's not necessarily like you're trying to change. It could just be like you want this person to see that your preferences are the right way, and that's a recipe for disaster. And nobody wins. Nobody wins in that. And so if everybody can just relax, right? And look to love that other person more than themselves from the get-go. Maybe less relationships would be about how I can change you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I love it.
Less about how I can change you and more about how can I get to just love you for the time that I have you. Because that's when I got cancer. It didn't matter anymore. All these preferences that I felt like I had, even how I wanted the house to be or the rooms to look, or those preferences just, they felt silliness when I'm thinking about all I want to do is be with these humans that drive me crazy, right? Like, I want more time with them doing whatever they want. And these things that felt so important and big to me, they didn't anymore. And so I'm learning now that I don't know. I didn't need to change these people all along. God was gonna work it out for me, and that He was making the greatest change in me that honestly I wouldn't have gotten to if it wasn't from getting diagnosed. Right? Some of my most difficult losses have brought about the greatest awakenings and spiritual growth. And I think that's why they say the Bible verse, where God says that I'm going to work it out for your good. The answer might not be what we want. People may not become who we want in the time we want. But God's, like, He's going to work it out.
He will.
And the blessing sometimes is in what He does in us.
That's right. And you're just like, why do you got to go and make things so complicated?
I see the way you're acting like you're somebody else gets me frustrated. I know, it does. But it's times like this that
you fall and you crawl.
Honestly,
you promise me you're never going to find you faking.
No.
Not.
No.
God bless you, babe.
I love you.
Glad to be on the journey with you.
I'm proud of you.
Love you.
Thank you.